Peace, family. This is Tariq. Welcome back again for another day, another episode of Knowledge Corner. All right, today's insight of the day. Love is peaceful when it's real. Love is peaceful when it's real. I got this from the song Cruisin by Smokey Robinson. This is off of his Where There's Smoke album that was released on May 22nd of 1979. A lot of people are more familiar with D'Angelo's version of Cruisin' versus Smokey's. If you've heard the two of them, Smokey's version is a lot more smooth, if that makes sense. D'Angelo's version is a little bit more funky. It has a bop to it, if that, if you understand what I'm saying. Listening to Smokey's version of the song, for me, it puts me in a peaceful state. Just thinking of cruising down the street or cruising somewhere with the woman that, I love, maybe in a drop top, her hair flowing in the wind, something like that. It puts me in that level of peace. But in order for you to get to a level of peace, there are a few things that first need to happen. One is you have to become closer to God. However you do that, that's strictly on you. For myself, how I was able to do that, one was through meditation. One was through fasting, as well as reading the word. So for me, those allow me to be in a level of peace that I have never been in before. But I guess not the precursor, but the flip side of that is you have to find a partner who's on the same wavelength. When you are able to do that, then there's a level of peace that you will have within yourself and within that union that you probably never had in any other relationship that you've ever been in before. I've been through a lot of turmoil, strife, and hell in past relationships, whether that be platonic relationships or relationships where, it was physical with a woman. A lot of people say that, love hurts, or, if, love is this and love is that. For me, I'm not with that. There's a level of understanding and respect that goes into any relationship that you have. But for some reason, people don't see that in a relationship that you're with another person. That's just crazy to me at this point in my life. When I was younger, I was for that. I always said I wanted a woman with a little attitude, to her. And I'm not saying that my wife doesn't have that, but it's a way she goes about it that's a lot different than what I'm used to. Prime example, yesterday, there was a situation that we got into, and she was upset. She was highly upset. And she let me know how she felt. And maybe 20, 30 minutes later, she comes back to me and she was just like, I apologize. I apologize for how I came at you. That was wrong. And then that allowed us to actually talk about it. That's the type of relationship that you want to be in. You want to be in a relationship to where the two of you are able to sit down, have a conversation with each other. No one is upset with the other for voicing their opinion. Sometimes that's not easy for people to actually take critique from the person that they're with. But it's crazy. You can take critique from your boss, or you can take critique from a friend, but you can't take a critique from someone that you sleep with. Very weird. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 2 through 3. With all loneliness and gentleness, with long suffering, bearing with one another in love, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. Again, that goes into everything that I've been saying. You know, I'm not for drama. I'm for peace. Now, whatever I can do to get to that level of peace with the person that I'm with, I'm totally for that. And the woman that I'm with, I would pray that she's doing the exact same thing. But precursor to put that into another perspective, who's to say a year, 2, maybe 3, 4 years from now that the peace within that relationship changes? Then that means, one, then there's something that needs to happen within that relationship, that the peace is being disrupted. Or two, God is preparing you and that person to no longer be together because there's disruption in that relationship. If you're not able to work things out, then that means that you and that person shouldn't probably be together anymore. Surah, Eunice, which basically translates to Jonah, as Jonah in the whale. This is the 10th surah or chapter in the Quran, verse or ayat number 9. Those who believe and work righteousness, their Lord will guide them because of their faith. Beneath them will flow rivers and gardens of bliss. So, in the song, Smokey says, I love it when we're cruising together. You know, I love it when, we're rolling down, the highway or the street, we're cruising, he's playing the music. He's saying, let the music take your mind. For me, I'm all for that, but I'm also for letting God, take my mind, letting God guide me to where he wants, me to go, but in order for me to do that, I have to believe. In order for me to do that, I have to work righteousness in my life. I have to be grateful. I have to be thankful for everything that I have. Once you get to that point, then things will be a lot better for you, and a lot of things will be more in perspective for you, in order for you to understand that with faith comes action, and with action comes guidance from God. And in this particular case, in this particular ayat, it's saying that if you believe and work righteousness, then you will be granted rivers in the garden of bliss. You will see those rivers flowing, in a garden of bliss for you. Am I where I need to be, or where I want to be rather? No. But I'm at the point now in my life to where I had stopped fighting God. I've stopped fighting, trying to do everything on my own, and I'm allowing God to guide me where I need to go. Why am I able to do that? Because I have faith. I believe. I'm working righteousness. I'm doing those things that God is telling me to do in order for him to guide me where he needs me to go. So, love is peaceful when it's real. If you're not in a peaceful relationship, or if you're with someone that God does not want you to be with, it's not going to be peaceful. So I pray that this message finds the people that it needs to find. I did pray before I made this video that God sends this to the people who need to watch it. And I pray that you are one of those people. And I pray that my message, gives you the strength to do what you need to do in order to get out of a relationship that God may not want you to be in anymore. But as always, like, comment, share, subscribe, and positive energy activates constant elevation. Peace.